Hi guys, it's Emily from Nobel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my March wrap-up part 2. Now March has been one of the most amazing months that I've had in ages. Apart from a bit of a wobble when Mia had COVID, it was a great month. It was my birthday month. I received so many gifts. I will link my book haul down below where I talk about all those amazing books that I got, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I had my first readathon that I hosted on my own. I've had buddy reads, I've had friendship groups, you guys are all absolutely amazing, and I've had such good reading month. So, here is the stats. So, miracle firstly, I read 38 books this month. How I read that with Maya and everything else that's been going on, it's been quite a busy month, I've got no idea. I will say, it was never going to happen in April, because for starters, normally I am starting my books a day early. I start them normally on the 31st, and I'm actually starting on the day that I'm recording this, which is the 1st of April, and I've got some chunky books. So no way am I going to read, and I've also got the Easter holidays. No way am I going to read 38 books, but I'm not going to stress. I read 36 of those were off my unread shelf, and I unhauled 8 books. So that's giving you some clues. I gained 42 books, and see if you can work out the maths. My March unread TBR was 433 books. I thought with a haul of 42 books, there was no way I was going to be able to reduce that TBR. But I did it, guys. My April unread TBR is 431 books. So I've deducted 2 books this month. Yes. I am so happy with that. My shelves are looking better. I will say though, the day of recording this, I've had to kind of put some books that I gained since the haul off a little bit. I'm already kind of up by about 13 books. So, but then again, I'm not going to any bookshops for the next 2 weeks because it's Easter holidays and I'm going to be good. So that's my positive attitude. I'm not going to be gaining any. Anyway, now for the genres. I read 2 non-fiction books this month. That number does need to increase next month. I really am aware that's not enough. I read 3 fantasy. That's something I'm happy with. 3 thrillers, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with those figures. 6 classics, I'm over the moon with that. And I read 11 historical fiction and 13 contemporaries. Historical fiction and contemporaries are always going to be my jam. They're always going to be my top 3, my top genres. So I am really happy with the figures this month. And also the star ratings. This is the bit that I'm really happy with. I've only read 1 unrated book. I read 1 2-star book, which considering last month, that is flipping amazing. I only read 2 3-star books, but now the rest of these figures are just through the roof. I read 17 4-star books this month, 5 4.5-star books, and 12 5-star books this month. Admittedly, this second half of the month was going really badly. I wasn't getting any 5 stars. And then the last few days of reading, oh my God, smashed it through the roof. And the last few days I had, out of the last 5 books I read, 4 of them were 5 stars. So that gives you some idea how I ended the month on a high. And I am so happy with that. So now for showing you what I've got. Because obviously I've got so many books to show you. I'm not going to talk about them too much. So like I always say, if you want to know more, please feel free to comment down below. If there are any, I will be letting you know as I go along which books I'm unhauling. Some of them are already designated for some people, and the others are free. If you let me know if you want me to send them, I will do it at some point. I will say, because I've prioritised some books I've already promised people, they will get sent quicker than others, and I've also got holidays. Anyway, so the 3-star books that I've read this month are both classics and both ones that disappointed me. Sorry, Of Mice and Men. Didn't enjoy it that much. I'm sorry. I just didn't get into it. I struggled with it. It's not after Grapes of Wrath. So funny. Easter Eden I loved. Grapes of Wrath I didn't particularly enjoy, and this another one. So I'm not sure if I will continue with John Steinbeck. A Study in Scarlet. This is, I think, the short stories in the Study of Scarlet, and the first one was good, and then it just was like, just not really for me. I've got a different section of Sherlock Holmes books I'm reading with, I believe, Alice from Alice's Giant Bookshelf. So I'm going to keep that. And I think even though this is a beautiful book, I'm going to unhaul that. So those 2 are getting unhauled. And already I'm into my 4 stars. Study of Scala and that, they're just not for me. They're not really my kind of books. But now I'm already onto the 4-star books and they are all absolutely incredible. It is really hard. I think for me, 4 stars is one that's good, but I will not be rereading it. 4.5 stars was amazing. There was only slight giggles, and I'm not sure if I'll keep or unhaul. And then the 5 stars, most of them I'll be keeping, but there's one that I don't think I will be, because I'll explain that when I get to it. The first one that I loved was The Danish Girl by David Eversnoff. I loved this one. I'm not going to keep it because I want other people to read it. But it starts with a question, a simple favour asked by a wife of her husband, while they're both painting in their studio, setting off a transformation that neither can anticipate. This is, it's so hard hitting. It is basically when the love has to change and this husband is asked by his wife to wear a dress and wear female clothing. And this is a pioneer in transgender history, and this is very important for transgender history because I believe some of what actually happened in this is real. Some of the operations that happen in this is real. Some of the therapies that this person goes through is really, really hard. And I believe some of these things actually really did happen, and that's very hard hitting. I found this very, very informative. And if you want a book on historical fiction and on transgender history, this is perfect for you, and it's one I thoroughly recommend. I believe that this is a motion picture, obviously it's a film, and this is a film copy. It's very, very good, but very hard-hitting, so please bear that in mind when you read it. Good old contemporary that Thomas picked for me. This is one of my biggest books. Sarah Morgan, she never disappoints. How to Keep a Secret. It's 2 sisters, it's a mum, and it's a daughter, so it's 4 leading characters. Very much have secrets that they've kept to themselves. Very different lives, and it's very important. It does teach you that you really shouldn't keep secrets. Secrets are not good. They're more harm than they're good. Very lovely contemporary. This is set mainly in America, so I think Sarah Morgan's an American author. Great contemporary, really good fun. But when I've read some of the other ones, they're slightly better. Sarah Morgan's a good author, but not very often will I buy her books full price. But they are good. A lovely one here, Sisters of Gold by Annie Murray. She's another historical fiction author who never disappoints. Her books are good. Again, we've got the sister thing. Yes, I've got a thing about books with sisters. Sisters Margaret and Annie lost their mother years ago, and they long for her every day. And then something happens with their father at home, and they sort of flee to live with their aunt and uncle, and they both find independence. And there's also it's very much tackles this is sort of set in the late 1900s and late 1800s, I believe, and it tackles poverty very clearly and things. The ending just niggled me a little bit. That's why I didn't give it 4.5 or 5, because there was a bit of an ending that niggled me. But Margaret and Annie are very different sisters, but it's really good. But again, there's some really hard-hitting triggers in this, so please bear that in mind. If you want to know what they are, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll let you know. Thriller that I bloody loved, The Ice Twins by SLC 33. Actually, no, I like this one. There was another one that I absolutely loved. Yeah. So this is good. It's about the Ice Twins. It's about children, actually, and their mother. And after one of the identical twins' daughters, Lydia, dies in an accident, Angus and Sarah move to a remote Scottish island, hoping to mend their shattered lives. This is quite creepy. It's not scary, it's creepy. So it was the one that I could easily handle. It was a good one. Not one I'm going to keep, but it was a good one. Now, this is one that obviously everyone spoke about a couple of years ago, 3 Women by Lisa Tadayo. 3 very different women, 3 very different stories. Very, very sexual content in this book, so be aware of that going in. Lots and lots of naughty stuff in it. I think it was Jem from Gem of Books that told me there was a lot of naughty stuff in this book. So 3 very different women and very interesting, very hard-hitting, but quite good. That was non-fiction. It was 4 stars. One I'm glad I read. The Dutch House I rated 4 stars, but it was again a very high-end 4 stars. I really did enjoy this. This is basically set over a long period of time, and it sort of started off in the Dutch house, and it's about a brother and sister and their history, and it really is about the fact that their mother is lost, and then their father, and various stuff happens, and it's their journey. It's a very good book. I would definitely be looking for more Anne Pratchett work. I don't know which ones to start on next though, so If any of you have read Anne Pratchett's books and can recommend which one I go to next, please let me know in the comment below, because I did really enjoy this. But again, not enjoyed enough to keep. Then a contemporary I really enjoyed. This is the second in the ice cream shop series. I read the first one and I loved it. This second one, it took a bit longer to get into because it's half set in the UK and then half set in Italy. Again, sisters. Again, romance. Again, families. Now, the mother-in-law in this, talk about again bringing back memories of my mother-in-law, is a bit hard-hitting, and it was a bit close to the bone on certain issues. But it was good. It was good. Cozy 4 stars. Then a book that I'm definitely unhauling, but this is going to the lovely. This is the first book that is going to Danny. So from Danny's bookshelf or shelf bookshelf. And that is Against All the Odds, Will Serena Fulfil Her Potential? When the Great War ends, Serena Fleming is due an inheritance from her bullying father, but little does she know how far he will go to prevent her leaving home. Very, very hard-hitting, but love watching Serena's strength grow in this. Marcus Gray is a bloke that comes into this. What happens there is very interesting, and I think Marcus Gray is a great male character. Quite sexy for the time, I think. I find him quite sexy. But that's getting sent off, so that's going to a different pile. I think, Alice, you might be getting this. This is The Disappearance. So this was actually 4.5 stars, I think. Was it 4 stars? No, this is still 4 stars, but it's a good 4 stars. This was probably slightly better than the Oath Twins. So even though it's 4 stars, it was a higher end 4 stars. Audrey Brady will never forget the moment she met Ralph Templeton in the sweltering heat of Bombay Cafe. Her life was soon over and she was soon married with 2 small children, but things in the Templeton house were never quite what they seemed. This has got dual timelines, so it's got a bit of historical fiction and thriller, and oh my god, it's really interesting. It's quite spooky and quite scary at points as well, because you want to know what happened and where the mystery is, and the mystery does take a little bit of time to get in, but it is a really good book, so I really did enjoy that. That was a book that I got from the pound shop, and I didn't expect to enjoy it, but I did. The next book is a very, very big YA book, so I'm not keeping it because, again, it's very YA. This is, I've got The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, which is 2 authors, I believe, and I think that's an adult book, and this is very YA, and I think that's my only niggle, is that I'm too old for this book. But this is about, again, you're looking at the LGBTQI plus industry, about romance and about coming out of the closet, and this person really struggles to be themselves, and they meet someone and it's romance, but they know that they feel like they've got to keep their gender, their identity, what they are from their best friend even. And I think that's a real struggle when they're trying to keep it from their best friend. And it's really interesting, really cute romance, very good LGBTQI plus romance, but not for me, I'm afraid. Then the next one is one I'm not going to keep, even though it's really hard to give this one away, because I got it from Gemma from Read a Book Gem, and I did enjoy it, but it's a hardback, but it's not the prettiest hardback, but it was 4 stars, so it was a good historical fiction, but I need room on my shelves for this. And this is set in 1910 in Nuneaton, and Grace Kettle lives with her beloved mother and a judge. But the judge, her father in this, is a real bully, and there's some quite triggering stuff in this as well. And then she meets when she goes down south to hide from her father, she meets another guy, and he turns her world upside down. And then there's another set of bullying. Domestic violence is tackled. That's a very big trigger in this book. And domestic violence and abuse and sexual abuse and things like that, they're very much in this book. So it's a very good book and one I thoroughly recommend. But it has a lot of triggers, so I'm not keeping that. Now to my 4.5 and 5-star books. This next one is going to Danny, and this is Shakespeare's Mistress. I'm giving this to her because I know she loved Hamlet, and this is set in the same time, but this is talking about another woman in Shakespeare's life. I believe we think she is the mistress of William Shakespeare, but it tackles her, and it also tackles again poverty and things like that set in that time. And when and this text really does this goes over quite a long period of time about Shakespeare's history and where he is and who he grows up with and his relationship with his wife, which is well known that his relationship with his wife was a bit hish-pish. He travelled a lot and he wasn't always great with his kids, and various stuff happened. And this is quite historical and really good. I really did enjoy that. But I think that Danny's going to love that. Then a contemporary that got 4.5 stars. The next two contemporaries are 4.5 stars because they're good but not quite good enough to keep, but they are really, really good. In fact, the next three are 4.5 contemporaries are 4.5 stars. First one is Love Iris by Elizabeth Noble. I've been really hit and miss with this author. Some books of hers have been 4 stars, some books have been 3. But this is really interesting. This was quite a good book because, again, you've got history mixed in with this. It's tackling dementia, it's tackling quite a few hard-hitting things. Tess's happy childhood memories are mostly of the grandmother who helped raise her. Now she has a secret to tell Iris, one that will turn so many lives upside down. And then, it's really good. But then we've also got another lady in this, who is another lady, who I really loved. So we've got Tess's storyline, but then you've also got an older protagonist, Gigi, and her storyline, and their storylines intermix, and this is really bloody good. It's not one I'll reread because I know what happens, but it was really high end. 4.5 stars. The next one's Cathy Bramley, and to be honest, I'm going to get all her books. I'll probably pay full price for some of them. I'm giving this one away because I didn't pay full price and the copy's got a bit of a battered spine. But Match Made in Devon, it's a perfect escape until her old life catches up with her. I didn't predict the romance in this. I kept trying, because there's always a romance in Cathy Bramley's books. But I couldn't actually predict the romance, which is what was bloody good. And then, so she kind of, this lady, she basically, she was a star, and then something happens, and she does a boo-boo, and she runs away to go and stay near her brother in Devon. And I love the family element in this, because it isn't so set in stone. It's not like the mum, she's got mum, dad, and kids, and everything else. The family is different in this, and it's we've got found family, and we've got friendships, and we've got the romance that, like I said, I couldn't predict. And that this Nina finds herself, and I just loved it. I really, really enjoyed this. Cathy Bramley never disappoints. Her books, she is one of my favourite contemporary authors, and I absolutely love her books. Just bloody, bloody good. So I will thoroughly recommend that probably the most. Now the next one I didn't expect to like, but this one made me cry. I would say, be aware of this. This is very much of an emotional, tearful book. That's why I'm giving this away, because I will probably sob my sodding heart out. Since his life has been haunted by dreams about the people he loves, visions of what's going to happen, the good and the bad, and the only way to prevent them is to never let anyone get close to him. That's Joel. But Callie can't let go of the past since her best friend died. This is really heartbreaking, really good. But I think it got me thinking, if you could predict the future, if you could know when you're going to die, would you want to know? Would you want to know what was going to happen? And it really was very thought-provoking. But this broke me. It properly made me cry. It was a really hard-hitting book, but bloody good. And now on to my 5-star books. I've got 6 to show you. One of my favourites from the month is in this pile of 6, and one was from the last month's wrap-up. See if you can predict what's going to be my favourite of the month. So the first 5-star is Charlotte's Web, but I'm not keeping this copy of it because this copy is very battered. So I think I'm going to get a new copy of Charlotte's Web because I've seen loads better ones at my charity shop. Read this in a day, bloody love this. I'll definitely get my own really decent copy. Everyone knows Charlotte's Web. It's an old classic. The tale of how a little girl named Fern, with the help of a friendly spider, saved her pig Wilbur from the usual fate of nice fat pigs. Broke me, made me cry, loved it, read it within a few hours. But I'm getting a new copy of that. The next one, I cannot go into too much detail on this because it's for the Walpole read along. We were supposed to be reading it over 2 months, but I wanted to get this read in 3 because the next book's so chunky. I wanted to read that over 3 months, so I wanted to read this in 1 month. So I can't tell you too much in the details, but you will hear my thoughts about it when we do a Zoom chat with, which will go live on probably Marissa or Tori's channel. But this is Bring Up the Bodies, the second in the series. 5 stars all the way. It was thoroughly much the best of the series. I really, really enjoyed it. And it's very hard-hitting, and I really love Thomas Cromwell, and I don't want to love him because I know what happens to him in the end, but I really enjoyed it. A lot faster paced than the first book. So far my favourite in the series. Loved it. I am keeping that. The next one was one that was added to my TBR, and it broke me. 5 Feet Apart broke me. this broke me even more. I'm not keeping this because it literally ripped me to shreds. Literally, the next 2 books I'm showing you ripped me to shreds. It made me want to cry. Could not put them down. Bloody loved them. This is a YA contemporary, so give you a sneaky peek as to why I'm not going to keep this one. But Kimberly and Carl are the perfect couple. Or at least that's what Carl thought. But when Kimberly breaks up with him on the night of their graduation party, Carl's life is turned upside down, literally. Their car crashes and Carl wakes up to discover he has a brain injury and Kimberly's dead. And then no one understands until Marley. And then Marley suffering her own loss. There are bloody twists and turns in this that I did not expect. I kept wanting the romance to happen. I kept not knowing what was real, what was not real. Like, I couldn't predict what was going to happen in this book at all. It was that flipping good. But it killed me. It absolutely killed me. I was so bloody emotional on this book. I'm just literally, I'm in shreds. They literally ripped me to pieces. I cried so much and I was like, what's going to happen? Please let there be a happy ending. I'm not going to tell you if there was, but ripped me to shreds. My last book, It Ends With Us. It was the last book of the month. I literally finished it last night by about 10 o'clock. I didn't finish it till 10 o'clock last night. So talk about cutting it bloody fine. I never do this. Mia picked this to be my last book of the month. I bought this at the start of January, so it's very pretty quickly for me. And Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard at the life she wants. I don't want to tell you too much about this, but again, I will warn you, there is a lot of graphic domestic abuse. I will tell you more if you want to know more, but it is very, very emotional. There's 2 romances that happen, with one with Ryle and the other with Atlas. That's interesting. Again, friendships are interesting. The location is good. This is fast-paced, emotional, roller coaster ride. Did not know what to expect on this. Literally couldn't put the bloody thing down. I even didn't watch all of the Page Tune live show because I wanted to finish this book. I wanted to read it all. It was that good. Bloody amazing. Absolutely loved it. Penultimate book was Anne of the Island for the Analong. Love this one. This is one of my absolute favourites in the series. Although, according to the group chat, not everyone loved it because there are some bits about a cat in this that don't go down very well with some of us. So there are some bits that were quite emotional. I loved it. Although I am going to tell you, I've read the whole series. The next book, Windy Populars, is alright. The one after that, Anne's House of Dreams, is probably my favourite of the series so far. So May's book is my favourite of the series so far. This is good because Anne goes off to Redmond College in Kingsport and she meets new people. I can't tell you too much because it is in the series. It's really good. I'm planning to, once we finish the series, do a live on Instagram to talk about the whole series. I thought I'd do it quite fun and do that. So, but I love that. And the last book that I'm going to show you today is The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. I think I'm going to give this to Mia to read when she's a bit older because I think this is one that I think I want to give to her because I don't know how she'd read it now because this tackles racism in the 1950s. It tackles friendships. Again, you found families. Racism is the key thing in this book. It really is important. And Lily goes to find an understanding because she wants to find out what happened to her mum because her mum is killed at the start of the book. And she is living with her her black servant and something happens and they change, things change and it's bloody good. I absolutely loved it. Read a book gem and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best, again, one of my favourite books and one of my favourite classics. I think I'd put it down as a classic, to be honest, because it's that good. I can't remember if it's classic or historical fiction, but I definitely want to read more of Sue Monk Kidd. So what do you think is going to be my favourite of the month? Press pause if you want to think about it. I will tell you my favourite book of the first half of the month was Malibu Rising, which is upstairs on my shelf. I couldn't bother to get it down because it's like 9:30. I've got so much reading to do before I pick the kids up. And the other book is going to be the last book of the month. It Ends With Us. Is 4 stars, 5 stars. My second favourite book of the month, and I'm going to put it down as possibly a favourites of the year so far because I loved it that much. I'm keeping this because I think because I read it so fast at the end of the month because I wanted to get it read and I wanted to get more out of it. I think rereading it, I could get a bit more out of it. So I really love this. And I want to know in the comments down below, what were your favourite books of the month so far? Are there any of these that I've inspired you to get? Are there any of these books you want me to send you? Let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you all had a great reading month. Thank you again for all your love and support. You all mean the world to me. Take care. Bye-bye.